Welcome to the Vintage Hollywood Archive. Ava Gardner took the hearts and loins of Hollywood men and the movie-going audience at large. Ava was an explorer who knew no bounds, and she tried different things, including the ones morality police would be deemed forbidden. However, by knowing no bounds and indulging in excess, she would be consumed by her own excesses. Did Ava Gardner satisfy herself with women too? Make sure to watch the video until the end, and if you're new here, don't forget to join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Vintage Hollywood Archive channel. Ava Gardner, the sex goddess. How Ava Gardner almost caused an international incident. It wasn't all the time that blonde bombshell took Hollywood by storm. Other non-blondes did the same. And perhaps the wildest of those non-blondes has to be Ava Gardner, who isn't bound by anyone's rules except as. You call her crazy, you wouldn't be far off the mark. Call her adventurous, and you would be right. But to save yourself the stress of a proper description, just call her the sex goddess. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll capture everything. The good, the bad, and crazier aspects of her. This fiery lady is a devourer of men and can match and overcome the energies of people equally as adventurous as her. For those who didn't have her energy, she simply consumed them. Tough guy Mitchum was demystified by this seductive sexpot. Mitchum, in general panic, had once said, Ava Gardner, no, don't tell her I'm here. If I get together with Ava, I'm done for. A friend had told Mitchum Ava was around, and he melted like butter left in a bit of Texan sun. He scurried away, and who wouldn't? Ava's untamed nature earned her the tag, the most beautiful animal in the world. She was a terrifying femme fatale whose influence can erode even the most morally upright minds if given the time. Once Ava bites you, you lose all sense of reasoning and begin to live life in the most reckless of manners. Just look at Grace Kelly, for instance. That lady was as quiet as a mouse and had no love for boisterousness, but her personality took a 360 when she met Ava on the set of Mogambo. Initially, dainty Grace was appalled by Ava, and she let it known to a friend of hers, saying, Ava is such a mess, it's unbelievable. She was right, Ava can be wild, and her wildness turned the set of Mogambo into a place where whims and passion ruled. She and her lover at the time, the equally adventurous Sinatra, did things on set. They did things a man and woman should do in private, but those two didn't care, much to the chagrin of Grace. So it would appear that the conservative Grace was like oil to the water of the brash and straightforward Ava Gardner. However, Ava affects everyone, males and females alike, and her effect on Grace was less than savory. Soon, Grace began to make the same reckless choices of those she chose to have a relationship with, and would have an affair with Clark Gable, a star noted for his talent and love of alcohol. Grace herself didn't have the stomach for alcohol, as Lee Server claimed in his book, Ava Gardner, Love is Nothing. After a few drinks, she usually ended up turning pink and running into the bushes to vomit. Grace wasn't deterred. She realized life in the fast lane offered more excitement than the demure, drab life she previously lived. Grace saw Ava as her savior, and she all but worshipped her. The Lade traveled to Rome, where Gardner took them both to a brothel, a trip which intrigued Kelly. Lee, in his book, wrote that by the end of the tour, the demure Grace Kelly had even found a boyfriend at one place and had dragged him into the back seat of a taxi. Gardner and Kelly continued their friendship up to the time that Gardner died, and Grace Kelly even butted into Ava's love life by trying to set up the seductress with Aristotle Onassis, a Greek businessman. To motivate the brash, foul-mouthed actress to have relationships with Onassis, Grace described him as a forceful lover. She knew how Gardner wanted her men to be great at sex, but the actress wasn't buying it. She was disgusted by Onassis and claimed, as Lee Server in his book, that not even a good whipping could make her change her mind, and slipped away. Apart from having a mouth that belonged to truckers or sailors, Ava sometimes showed no sense of restraint. She was what you might call too forward, and sometimes didn't have the sense to tone it down. Less is more didn't apply to Ava, and this was why she and Fidel Castro didn't develop a more wholesome friendship. The sexy goddess got her wish to meet Fidel in Cuba, a charismatic man who easily got along fine. Lee wrote that Fidel welcomed the actress as one would do for royalty. In his words, Castro greeted her with extravagant Latin gallantry. He took her on a tour of his headquarters. However, their budding friendship was cut short due to Gardner's lack of restraint. She had begun to woo Castro, which displeased Marita Lorenz, Castro's mistress and translator. The translator had to take the fight to Gardner Hilton's lobby, and as usual, Gardner was drunk and curse words were free-flowing from her mouth. This resulted in a fight between the two women. The bodyguard present at the time had no patience for this and pulled his gun out. Perhaps he viewed the two as animals he had to put down. Castro decided that Gardner's sultriness wasn't worth her trouble, and as Lorenz explained, he had fixed up Edna Gardner with an aide who was to satisfy her in a suite at the National Hotel, compliments of Cuba. Did Gardner learn one or two things about proprietaries? Nope, she didn't. Which is why she made Peron, the Argentinian dictator's life hell. He was initially lucky to share the same apartment complex with the daring actress. They got along quite well. His wife would heckle Ava with questions about Tinseltown, and Ava was good sport at first. However, her life as a party animal would cause conflict as it robbed the Perons of their peace. Soon, Ava began to set her corgis on their poodle, interrupting Peron in some harsh Spanish words when he gave his imaginary return speech. It got so bad that it almost became an international incident between Spain and America. Some American pilots were partying with Ava when the Spanish police came to eject her. To avoid an incident, the police left. These and many more are just how Ava lived until she died of pneumonia. While the latter part of her years would have lived like a hermit who relaxed more in the absence of a camera, the earlier part was crazy and wild. However, this was a contrast to how Ava began. She was shy and insecure. So many people have wondered, how did Ava become who she was? Hollywood ruined Gardner, just like it did a lot of people. The golden age of Hollywood was nothing more than an era of debauchery, which left throngs of broken or dead people in its wake. Ava, like many others, is as much a victim as she was a participant. She was but a lamb sent to the wolves for grooming. When she survived, she was scared. Her life had a void that needed to be filled with the things she craved the most, genuine happiness and love. But when those things became elusive, she chose the rewarding yet fleeting alternatives: booze, cigarettes, parties, and sex. But their gratification was not enough. Perhaps if given a chance, she wouldn't chase Hollywood and wouldn't allow her in-laws to use her as a model in one of her photographs. It was that model that a top Hollywood exec saw and decided she needed to sign a contract after a successful screen test that turned the heads of the men at the time. Without even testing her talent to see if her face matched her ability, MGM chief Louis B. Mayer infamously declared, "She can't act, she can't talk, she's terrific, sign her." This would set the tone for her career, where her face and sensual curves were more valued than her ability to act. Unfortunately for her, it was on that day of her screen test that her woes began. Ava led a life of unfortunate relationships with men, and her marriage to Mickey Rooney began that journey. She had met Rooney, who was 20 at the time, wearing drag on the set of Babes on Broadway. Ava was attracted to Rooney, which she found spectacular, and so after dating for a year, they married. Ava began her journey as Hollywood's newest victim of glamour. On the part of Rooney, it wasn't love, but the urge to make his mark on anything in skirts. Of course, Ava was shocked. She added that, "I still didn't know that he was the biggest wolf on the lot. He screws anything that moves." Rooney was the first man she ever slept with, and it was he who took her virginity. Then after their marriage inevitably ended, Howard Hughes was waiting to be the next man Ava would marry. He had money to fund whatever life she wanted, but Ava said no. She was genuinely revolted by the man. Despite his eagerness to please her and the fact that he helped out with her mom's hospital bills, she revealed, I never loved him. Young and being faced with toxic relationships such as the ones she has had, the hot actress became a heavy smoker and was always looking for the solution to her problem at the bottom of a bottle. She found a temporary means to forget, but not a lasting solution. She would continue like this till she married Artie Shaw in a marriage that had the same flavor of misfortune as earlier. While Mickey Rooney slept around, making his wife look a fool, Artie Shaw all but called her a fool. Already, Ava was insecure due to her poor background and education. The one person that was supposed to offer her comfort was the person leading the public verbal beatdown sessions. Ava called Shaw another kind of bully, as he convinced her that she was stupid. To quell her insecurity, Ava had to take an IQ test to prove she wasn't stupid. It is interesting how Shaw turned vicious towards Ava, seeing that he left his wife to marry Ava. He knew she was uneducated and truly tried to find a way to educate her, but in the end, he mocked the lady that came from humble beginnings and sought to attain wealth via Tinseltown. Her next choice of partner was another person who was known for his vile temper after he had his head full of alcohol. Unfortunately for Ava, she was a great recipient of that temper. Then there was Frank Sinatra, who came and matched what Ava had become. After going through terrible relationships with Hollywood's finest men and being portrayed as a femme fatale, Ava had become completely stripped of her innocence. When people saw her, they saw a depraved woman who longed for the throbbing members of men. They never saw a woman in need of love and who was capable of love. Frank Sinatra came, and their relationship could be best described as explosive, and the way they declared their love for each other marked this. Although Frank Sinatra forgot he was married at this time. Her friend, Lana Turner, warned her off Sinatra. She said, "I've been there, honey. Don't do it." His complete devotion towards Ava ruined his marriage as his wife, with whom he had 3 children, declared, "My married life with Frank has been the most unhappy and almost unbearable. We have therefore separated." The public backlash for both of them was immense, and the dazzling diminutive singer found himself without a recording or film contract. Ava scurried on to England to avoid this backlash, and it was there that her love for women truly came alive. She had a relationship with England bombshell Christine Norden and would take a trip to a lesbian club in Paris, as she would reveal to Michael Thornton. When she did begin her relationship with the electric Frank Sinatra properly, the two would fight. When those fights get tough, Ava will find comfort in the flesh of other women, although she did claim that she didn't get satisfaction from her husband. Her partners also reportedly included Lana Turner, and after their 1951 marriage, Sinatra would find Ava, Lana, and another fleeing third actress. This was his breaking point for him, although there was his dwindling career and her rising popularity which drove some of the conflicts. Ava had gone to abort 2 pregnancies belonging to Frank. Her motivation remained unclear, except she was fearful to get pregnant, as some have claimed. Soon, she and Sinatra divorced, another marriage ended, and another pursuit of love and satisfaction failed. She had a body that had become a hot item in Hollywood, but she wanted to be more. Hollywood would say no. So, Ava was in a never-ending pursuit of satisfaction that she didn't get. For all her struggles, what she had was more struggles. The comfort she sought in Hollywood was not what she got. Her Hollywood career, in a way, mirrored the struggles she encountered growing up. The symbol was born on Christmas Eve, 1922, in North Carolina to her parents, who already had 7 children. She grew up in poverty and would lose her parents when she turned 20, but at that time, she was already a member of the large ensemble of actors and actresses in Hollywood. Her beauty got her into Hollywood, but her accent needed to be trained her. While she was doing that, she got bits and parts in films until she caught her big break in the film, The Killers, an adaptation of an Ernest Hemingway short story where she got the female lead and delivered immensely. She showed in that film that she wasn't just a pretty face. She would appear in other iconic films, Mogambo, which earned her an Oscar nomination, Bowani Junction, which brought her a BAFTA nomination for Best Female Actress, Night of the Iguana in 1965, which gave her both a Golden Globe and BAFTA nomination. In 1960, Ava Gardner won a Golden Laurel for Top Female and also got her Hollywood Walk of Fame. In 1965, she won the Best Actress award at the St. Sebastian International Film Festival. Her life was a full ride of dangerous excitement, and in her later years, she became a recluse and relaxed more when the cameras left. Ava Gardner died of pneumonia as her past of smoking packs upon packs of cigarettes caught up to her. Before her death, she had formerly suffered a stroke, which she was too broke to treat by herself. Hollywood wasn't kind to Ava, and while she was a contributor to the chaos that was her life, in different circumstances, she would have thrived without losing herself. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new here. Ava Gardner has really gone deep into the Hollywood. So has his lover, Frank. What made Frank Sinatra's mob connections unique? Find out in this video.